Hey guys, it's Drexel here with Black Hollywood Live's Political Culture. On today's show, we're talking about the D.C. primary, Barack Obama slow jamming the news, and we're giving you the latest on the shooting in Orlando. Stay tuned.
You're tuned into Black Hollywood Live, Political Culture.
Hey guys, welcome to Black Hollywood Live's Political Culture. I'm your host, Drexel Heard. You can follow me at Drexel Heard.
Hey guys, I'm Elayna. You can follow me at Hey It's Lay.
Hey guys, it's B. You can follow me at B Sorrells.
We are opening today's show with the incredible voice talent, Christina Grimmie, who was shot late Friday night coming out of a club. A very sad story.
I thought she was shot at her concert.
She was coming out of, I think her concert was at a club.
Yeah, it was at a club.
Concert was at a club. But we're opening the show with her single, With Love. Yes. What I love about that story is that Adam Levine is actually paying for her wedding. Adam Levine was her voice coach. She didn't end up winning, but she was a really incredible talent on that show, and she has a lot of followers on YouTube, and so she was really great. And then the next day, I woke up. I was sleeping that night, obviously because I woke up, and then my phone started buzzing. Like my AP breaking mobile just started going off, and I was asleep, and I was like, "What could possibly be going on right now? That is so important. That's going to wake me up in the middle of the night." And then we all woke up to all of the devastation that happened in Orlando over the weekend at Pulse nightclub. What a really long week! I feel like this weekend was just really long.
It was.
Just hearing the news. I don't know if you guys, I watched the news 24/7 this weekend. A lot of friends in Orlando. I know Elayna is from Florida. So this was, it was a lot to take in.
Yeah.
Go ahead, you were about to.
It didn't hit me. So it happened on early Sunday morning, so kind of like Saturday night, Sunday morning. And so, you wake up on Sunday and you get the news. And on Sunday, I was completely like, a tragedy happened. Another tragedy happened. Okay. Right? Like, trying not to tune into it, like, just being whatever. And then on Monday, for some reason, as more of the story developed, as they were able to get more details, and we were able to know who survived and who didn't survive and how close to home it was, it started to hit me, and I started to go deeper into it. But this morning, today, is when I kind of became engulfed in it, and when like the tears were coming, and it was just really hard. And I don't know if it's because I have friends who died in the tragedy, or if it was just listening to all of the details and all of the events that kind of happened. You got some survivors who were telling their stories. You were able to see some Snapchat stories of the victims, text messages to the mom, like from
that was a rough one.
Yeah.
We have all the names of all of the victims. I work for NBC Universal over at Universal Studios, and Universal Studios Hollywood lost 2 people this weekend. So Tom Williams, our chairman, we're going to be doing kind of a vigil thing at Universal. I know it's going to be live streamed sometime next week, so we're going to be able to see that. It was 49 people, and I think that number is still growing as people are still in critical condition,
and they're not making it.
And it was like 53 other people who were injured in that. I think one of the point of the weekend that really stuck out to me was when the mother who was interviewed on CNN couldn't find her son.
Didn't know what happened to him.
Nobody would tell her anything. And you could see it in her face, like it was devastation of what was happening. And I just could not imagine, I'm not a parent, but I could not imagine not knowing what is going on with your child or their partner or their boyfriend or their girlfriend, whatever is happening.
What was crazy about that one? So she was interviewed, and she said she was calling him, she was texting him, she couldn't get in contact with him, so she had to go that time period waiting. But when she was interviewed, she said, I don't know what happened to him. I know that he was sitting next to his partner, and his partner got taken away on an ambulance with multiple gunshot wounds.
Right.
So I think that's what made her worry more, because it's like, okay, he's gone off in the ambulance. Where are you? Why? Why?
And I think for me, you know, we all kind of tune into the news all the time, and I think where it really hit me was when I tuned into CNN and I was watching. They were there, you know, at the club still, and CNN had to kind of quiet the background because there was so many phones going off while there of parents and friends still calling bodies that were there, and that was just like a moment where I was just like, wow, this is real. This is going to change America's history forever.
I mean,
you know?
it was the largest mass shooting in history, and I wrote that on Saturday because I think that people forget that, like, we are so numb to mass shootings happening because they happen so frequently. They have been in the past few years. That when you say in history, that's something completely different. And you know, it wasn't. You know, this whole weekend it kind of got politicized. Not kind of, it actually did get politicized a lot, but for very different reasons. And I know a lot of my friends in the LGBT community, and I know that I said it, and I know that people have been talking about it all weekend, is that we have kind of shifted the focus away from what it actually was. We initially started talking about terrorism and away from what it actually was, which was it actually a hate crime?
Yes, for sure.
And we have a tendency in the country to not talk about hate crimes as they are.
Exactly.
We justify it with something to something else.
Yes.
Not even just terrorism, but to something completely different.
Yes.
And you know, it's the same thing with just any other mass shooting. Like we attach mental health to, like, you've got, like, yes, there are a lot of mentally unstable people out there with guns. But you can't attach something just to justify it. You can't justify it by saying, oh, well, it could have been this.
Yeah.
We know exactly why this shooter went in there. We know his motive, and I think it was a combination of a lot of things. Obviously, there are a lot of things that we're finding out.
Yeah.
As we go by, you know, Gawker and LA Times actually ran a story about how he actually frequented the clubs and was on the gay dating apps.
Well.
So I think that they might have. I said, you know, from the get-go, I said, you know, nobody has that much hate unless they have internalized something.
His ex-wife said she had thoughts that he might have been gay, and that she can recall an argument between him and his dad when his dad called him gay.
Right.
So that, like,
and anything. I mean, at the beginning of the story, we're just talking about the beginning of the story, like, his dad said, "Oh, well, he saw two men kissing
on South Beach."
Yeah, and if that triggers that response, there's something completely, at least in my opinion, there's something completely different.
Or there was something already planted, like you already had some preconceived feelings, and that might have escalated how you already felt. My question is, because I haven't publicly spoken about Orlando and the tragedies that happened, and that's because I still need to gather my thoughts and make sure that I can communicate effectively, because I know that, you know, people like to go back and forth, and I really don't be having time for that. But one of the debates that I've seen was what makes this the biggest mass shooting in U.S. history compared to, like, Sandy Hook. And I know that was one of the controversies. We talked about how they made it political. We talked about how they tried to take away from the fact that it was a hate crime. They tried to bring in religion and
they did.
Yeah. And these are all controversies that happened. But one of the biggest things were there were so many other mass shootings. So one of the controversies that I saw was because it was involving the LGBT community. If this is what makes it, which no. If that was what made it the biggest in U.S. history, and I know that that's no, but when we say the biggest in history, are we talking about people injured as far as the 100, or the fatalities?
I think we're talking about fatalities.
Okay, that makes
the biggest mass shooting in America.
Right.
And you know, that same day, there were 93 other shootings that happened across the country. So I think, you know, when people talk about, and I don't know how you guys feel, so chime in, but, you know, we have a huge, every time we have one of these, we have a huge debate, whether or not it's on Facebook. I know that I was.
We know. We know.
And I was like, no, you know. But it was a healthy conversation. This time was a lot healthier, I think, because a lot of my gun-loving friends were talking directly to me. And not to anybody else.
Right.
You know, I can be a somewhat rational person sometimes, and I think that changed the conversation. Like, we've got to get to a point when we're talking about gun legislation or gun safety requirements that we are including gun owners, law enforcement officers. I won't say the NRA because I personally believe that the NRA is as much of a terrorist organization as ISIS. And they are a domestic terrorist organization.
Oh, yes.
And
everything.
but we have to have that conversation with people who know guns better, because this guy was wielding an AR-15.
Yeah.
And if you saw the picture, I don't know if you guys saw the picture, but there was a police officer whose Kevlar was pierced. So not only are you putting in danger the lives of obviously the people in the club and killing those people, but you're putting our law enforcement in danger who should not have to be wearing military grade Kevlar to go into a club in Orlando, Florida.
So
like that is nuts to me. But the one thing that I noticed this weekend, and my gun-loving viewers, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the number has ticked up since 2005. The assault weapons ban expired.
The number of what?
The number of mass shootings.
Okay.
The number of shootings by an assault weapon has obviously risen since 2005. And so the question is, do we think that the assault weapons ban should come back? Do you guys feel like the Second Amendment protects assault weapons, all guns, or just certain guns and,
Yeah. Me personally, I think it needs to be certain guns because there's a lot of questions that I've been like trying to go in my mind about. That's a really big weapon that he was able to carry inside of a club without anybody know. You know what I mean? Because if you've been to a club, everybody knows you have to do security. You have to get checked. You have to get your ID checked.
I think he might have shot right through security.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking too. Like he had to have come and just been
but
like, look, you know what I mean?
I think that from what I understand, Pulse is the club is like a warehouse. It's not like I'm so used to going to clubs or
here where they're small and they're kind of
where they're not just smaller, but you have to go through a door to get through a door.
Yeah,
exactly.
You have to go through a door to get to the club.
And you have to walk through a hallway before you get into the actual club.
So I don't think Pulse was set up like that.
Yeah.
I think that you could just walk in and
and it's just free. Yeah.
Walk in and say, hey.
Even going back to it, I do think it needs to be certain guns. I do think that the clearance level, even if I have a clean record and that I'm clean, I'm as clean as a whistle or something, whatever the saying is, I still think that if I decided that I wanted to get a rifle or some kind of assault weapon, that I need to go through something extra,
some type of process,
another extreme of a level. Because why would I go from not owning any guns or having a clean record to automatically needing? Why would I start off with this with this gun? So I think we need a procedure in place that can further the screening of if you're going to go ahead and get that type of weapon. But for now, for the civilians, because I know there's the whole pro-gun movement, and I agree with it to a certain extent, but I do think that it should be limited to certain guns.
Yeah, because and even for the suspect, CNN was saying that FBI has already questioned him, 2 years in a row, I believe in 2013 and 2014. I remember saying, and so for him to have already been on the FBI's radar, and then you are able to still, get this type of weapon and do this destruction, it's kind of
apparently he was interviewed and cleared.
But I think he was interviewed about being a part of a
contacting.
I think it was within. So from what I understand, it goes back to the motive portion of it.
Mm-hmm.
He had contacted the local authorities because he was being teased about his religion. He was upset, and that's what happened. FBI kind of flagged him, kind of for that, but at the same time, he also went to a mosque, even though he wasn't very religious. Went to a mosque and was in like that 6 degrees of a known terrorist who also had gone to that same mosque, who actually was a suicide bomber. And so I think that they flagged him for that, just because of that kind of area that he was in, and
the context that he was making.
And even though he had no contact with this person, I think that just a few degrees away will have the FBI flag you. But do you guys think it is a failure on the FBI's part?
Yes, for the dramatic pause.
Yes, I know, because I'm really trying to, you know what, I'm going to say I'm kind of torn, and the reason why I'm torn is because what we just spoke about, there is no process to where, you know, before you get that weaponry, there should be a process to where it should have been red flagged, you know what I mean, but that hasn't been created, you know what I'm saying?
Let me tell you so yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think that once you are flagged by the FBI and you go through your interview and they label you as clear, there should still be some kind of watch list. You may not be being watched every week or every month, but there should be still some check-in.
Yes. However, and I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Of course.
But you know, Rand Paul had a, you know, his concern was if you clear somebody through due process, their constitutional rights are still in play.
Right.
And so you can't say, okay, well, we're gonna keep watching you, and then you still won't be able to buy a weapon. I just think you should just ban them all together. Ban assault weapons. Like, you know, I come from a military family, so I know these weapons.
Yeah.
They are weapons.
Oh yeah.
They are weapons of war. So you don't really need them
on an everyday
basis. Like if you want to go to the range
on a civilian level.
On a civilian level. If you're a cop, if you're a person in the military, those are the only people who really should be shooting any sort of gun, and obviously, you know, within the parameters of their training.
Right.
You know, I said this weekend, I think that, you know, there need to be annual background checks.
Yeah.
I think there need to be annual mental screenings. I think there's a way to, you know, if you have health insurance, because it's your constitutional right to own a handgun or some sort of weapon, you can include it in your health care is a mental screening check.
Yeah.
If you pass your mental screening check, then, you know, you can get your license. I think there needs to be annual licenses. If we have to go, I wonder. I think it's you get it for a certain period, your license for a certain period.
Yeah, right.
But I do your gun license or your gun permit. For a certain amount of time. But I think that there just needs to be some checks, and I think there needs to be some balance for gun owners. Like, nobody wants to go out of their way to have to get a mental health screening. But if I'm saying to you, okay, this is the compromise. Like, if I'm saying to you, okay, look, it's included in your health insurance.
Right.
Yeah. Then they're gonna,
I think that's a pretty good compromise.
Yeah, and they're going to do it.
You're not paying for it. I mean, obviously you're paying for it out of your health insurance, out of your premium, but you know that it is your right to have health care. It is your right to have your mental health check. It's also your right to own a gun to protect yourself.
Well, I think and I want to touch on that as far as, you know, who should have the assault weapons or not. I personally don't believe police need to even have that, because if you really break down the overall thing for police officers, they're on a civil, you know what I mean? They're protecting us. So why do you need an assault weapon against us? I can understand military. I can understand that.
Even the National Guard.
Right, but even police, I don't even feel like they need to have that type of weaponry. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, you know, what's also interesting is the fact that this is during the time of Ramadan, and I know a lot of people in the Muslim faith were saying that he can't be practicing, because during this time it's about peace. They don't even believe in that, of how he basically did that. So I just thought that was
I don't think it was a religion thing at all.
Not at all. But he's painting it, of course, media covers painting it as that as well.
I think that the what do you call him? The shooter.
Yeah.
I think that he had some type of problem, and I say that because
unstable.
you know that it was reported that he called 911 and pledged to the ISIS. And it was just like.
But he was also pledging to other.
He wanted attention.
It was
exactly.
ISIS.
It has nothing to do with
ISIS. Like ISIS and Hezbollah, who were like fighting each other. So he didn't know. He was just calling out a name, a terrorist organizational name. Exactly. And of course, ISIS like claimed responsibility. And we're like, this dude just like
to downplay.
I think that was one of the things that pissed me off, because now you're giving ISIS or whomever more credit than they need, more credit than they deserve, and now they thinking they big and bad. Don't
like you really, like you said, a hate crime. This is what it is.
This is what it is.
And he just wanted attention. He knew, like, we operate on a common sense, whether you have mental problems or not. He knows that his family is from Afghanistan. He knows that he practiced the Muslim faith. He knows that if he goes ahead and commit this crime, it's automatically going to be like terrorist or Islamic terror.
But I also think that the other thing that we forget in this conversation, or the people have forgotten, is that between everybody was born here.
Yeah.
This guy was born here in America.
In New York.
In New York City.
Exactly.
He was a United States citizen.
Right.
Here in Los Angeles, that same day, a person from Indiana was headed to West Hollywood. So, and this was a white guy. First of all, they didn't even bring this guy up in the news. Like, they showed his face. They kind of talked about him a little bit.
Because he was a white guy.
But they just did not. Like, that is also a domestic terrorist. Even though he got charged, I think he was charged with possession today, and thankfully nothing happened here in Los Angeles. I have a lot of friends down in West Hollywood, a lot of folks on the parade route here in Los Angeles, and so that was very scary. But I think what infuriated me more about the weekend is that obviously the CDC has a ban on blood transfusion.
Yes. And
at least for gay men who cannot donate blood. And one of the tweets that I saw this weekend, it was from @JohnRTWorld. He said it's legal to buy an AR-15 assault rifle. It's illegal for a gay man to donate blood to victims of the massacre. This world makes no sense. And that is very true.
that's true.
Like, and I know One Blood, the organization, the transfusion organization or the blood donation organization was trying to get the CDC to the White House to waive that ban.
Yeah.
They obviously waived HIPAA rules this weekend, which I thought was really great by the White House because there were a lot of families who are maybe in domestic partnerships, and I know Florida has some, Florida is one state that doesn't recognize marriage equality, but it's still legal across the 50 states.
Right.
But HIPAA rules are waived, so a lot of families could get into the hospital to see a lot of those people. So, we got to change that rule.
Yeah,
we got to get to a point where, we got to do what's right, and I think hopefully this will spark a conversation. Actually, I read something this weekend that said, listen, it took gays 25 years to make marriage equality legal, and we were fighting for a long time. I don't think that the LGBT community it might let up on this one, so I think that's a good ally to have, and I really hope what comes out of this is, those are a lot of Latinos, and hopefully this will allow our community or just the LGBT community to kind of come together between the races, because this was a hate crime, epic proportion against the Latino community as well, and so hopefully folks are not forgetting that as well.
Right.
And hopefully we'll bring back the Brady Bill as well. Hopefully
we'll see.
People will do that. Also, what happened last week, so we'll be watching that. We want to know your thoughts on everything that happened this weekend. If you have friends, we are thinking about them.
Definitely in our prayers.
But
definitely just tweet us and use our hashtag BHLPC if you have any comments about the topic or the conversation, because I definitely would love to engage more with you about it and, your perspectives on it. So.
Absolutely. DC primary just concluded. Actually, it was the final primary of the season.
Yay.
Thank goodness.
We made it.
Wow.
Guys, what am I going to talk about for the next...
That was a long primary
very long
season.
Talk about your girl all the time.
Well, we're going to talk about it right now because she just won DC by a lot. By like 70 points. So, and I know right now, or at least within the last hour, Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders were meeting at a hotel. So hopefully something good will come of that.
Hey, Bernie, you want to be my VP?
I don't think that conversation is going to happen. But I'm very glad for this primary to be concluded. Actually, it has. I think that after last week, after it kind of died down a little bit, everybody kind of. I started to see more people like things that I said. Because
you were on the block list. You were on the block list for a while.
I was like, oh, where have you been? You still like things. I'm glad we're still friends on Facebook.
Oh, my gosh.
But one of the things a couple of things that happened last week. Obviously, President Obama endorsed Hillary Clinton in an online video. He was scheduled to be in Wisconsin this week, but due to the Orlando shooting, they changed it up. And then Elizabeth Warren right after that.
Yeah.
Which I thought
love
was
love. I love Elizabeth. She's my shero right now.
She is. That same night they were at a constitutional thing, and they talked a lot about and I know Steven's queuing up the video. You didn't even have to play the music. You didn't have to play it, but or I'll just talk over it. But one of the things that we realize is that presidential endorsements don't really mean a lot. In the past, Bill Clinton did not endorse. I mean, he did, but I think there was so much, Hillary was running for president. I mean, he was running for Senate at the time, so that endorsement really didn't. He was coming off of Monica Lewinsky, so there was a lot like that Al Gore did not want to be a part of. Reagan didn't really endorse President Bush, Bush Sr., and of course, President Bush, George W. Bush, definitely did not. I mean, John McCain did not want George W. Bush to be endorsing him.
I know. You wanted Obama to come out with his.
We talked about it last week.
Yeah, we talked about it last week. You wanted him to come out with his support for Hillary sooner. Like you wanted him. I mean, I think the timing is right. I preferred today, but that would have waited too long because it was such a dry spell within a week. So I do agree with you on that. I think that it came at the right time because he didn't aid in trying to split the Democratic Party. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he let it go as long as he could have.
I think he likes both. I mean, genuine. I think he really likes both of them. And I think you said he waited his time and just tried to look at the numbers and say, okay, now it's safe to kind of, you know what I mean?
But I also think it had a lot to do with the fact that there's so much inaccurate rhetoric coming from Donald Trump as the Republican, the presumptive nominee, that the president did not have a choice but to jump into this race.
Yeah.
And, that's what it was. I mean, just today he gave a press conference, and it was like, I remember saying to myself while I was watching, I was like, I've never seen the president like this. It was just blistering, attacking.
He's pissed.
I mean, he was mad.
He have about 8 months left in the White House. He's like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, about to see a real me real quick.
Hey, what's up?
But
that's basically what he's like now.
He's like, don't mess it up now. I'm trying to do it right. But one of the things that, obviously we talked about Elizabeth Warren from last week, but one of the things that part of the conversation was Elizabeth Warren came out and endorsed Hillary Clinton on Rachel Maddow on Friday night.
Yes.
Friday night. Or Thursday night, one of the two. Thursday night. And so a lot of the conversation is around, is Elizabeth Warren going to be Hillary Clinton's VP?
I would like to see that.
Do you think that America,
Is America ready for
two women?
Okay. No. Because as much as I would like them to be, or as much as I would think, us Americans, we got issues.
Oh,
we do.
Thank you. Yes,
so
we do.
I don't really know what controversy will come up from having two women. I know that because the Republican Party already needs to do a lot of corrective action to their party as a whole. I actually took that from Obama.
I love it.
He literally said that.
that.
But because they need so much work within their party right now, I think that if it was bad for Obama the past 8 years, it's going to be even harder for
two women.
But think of this, and I think that it was hard for the president because of the majorities, that Republicans, the gains that Republicans made in the midterms. However, I think this is a different election. I think that because, right now a poll came out, Hillary Clinton leads Donald Trump by 12 points.
Okay.
55% of Americans will not vote for Trump at all.
Right.
That's half of the American electorate not going to vote for Donald Trump. I don't know, what the margin of error was or what the poll was. But Elizabeth Warren will tap into the excitement. I know a lot of Bernie fans were disappointed that she didn't endorse Bernie Sanders, but I think she represents that progressive side of the party that is needed.
She's
and if you listened to her talk on Maddow, I don't know if you guys saw the interview. I mean, she flat out said, Rachel Maddow point blank asked her, do you think that you can be president of the United States if something happened to the president? And she said, dead silent. She was like, yes, I do. And that was it. It was, and I was like, that right there, was her answer to Hillary Clinton if she got asked, do you think you'd be president of the United States? And I think that progressives, women, I think that because of the agenda the Democrats are putting out, that every minority is going to come out for her or for both of these women. So I don't think that it'd be that hard. I just think that, straight white males are going to have it a little bit harder to swallow if something like that happens, and I think that they're going to have to just suck it up for about 4 to 8 years, and we'll see what happens. But the only downside to Elizabeth Warren taking that slot is that the governor of Massachusetts is a Republican, so they'll have to they'll have to fill that vacancy with a Republican senator. However, that seat goes up for re-election like a year later, so that they're going to vote it. And I'm really hoping that if Elizabeth Warren, I talked about Deval Patrick a couple of weeks ago, I really hope that if Elizabeth Warren is selected, which I don't know. Me and
Elayna would love to see it,
But,
we talked about it a few weeks ago.
But if she is selected, that Deval Patrick will run for the Senate seat in Massachusetts. So I think that'll be a really interesting, yeah. But that wasn't the only news last week. Obviously, we're talking a lot about President Obama, and I think he's just so great.
Because he's still winning over the hearts of Americans.
He is. And I know he was on Fallon last week.
He was on Jimmy Fallon. So if I make the transition for the record B, we know that you had your wedding ceremony, and next year's the big thing. So if you need any singers for your wedding, you just go call up Baraki with the good hair.
I already know. I'm calling.
At least that's what Jimmy Fallon referred to him as this past week. Baraki with the good hair.
I'm so mad at that picture right now. Like, there is a picture of Barack Obama with this Beyonce.
Oh my gosh. What ended up happening was, he made an appearance on Jimmy Fallon. It was the first time that a sitting U.S. president has gone on the show, so that was always fun. And Jimmy Fallon decided to slow jam the news with Barack. How fun.
Which I love, because he's done it like 3 times already.
Yeah, he's done slow jam the news a lot. So for him, he announced that he was doing it again. And he said, oh, guess what? I have a guest. And here comes Obama, because we love him. And shameless plug. Anyway, and so he goes on to slow jam the news. And when he sings, okay, so let me just say, as they were slow jamming the news, Obama was very professional and really serious. At least he tried to be, but you can't help but get a little tap when the Roots is playing behind you, and Jimmy's on a microphone with his bad singing, saying something. So basically, when Republicans gave Obama lemons, he made lemonade. That's where the reference Baraki with the good hair came from, according to Jimmy Fallon. So things that they ended up singing about was he slow jammed the news and just saying how he brought the country, further from where it was when he entered, which we were in a recession at the time. He talked about the realness of climate change. He talked about affordable health care, and he talked about same-sex rights. So these are all the things that he was thinking about when he was reporting the news, because he's closing his term. He has 8 more months left. So we just wanted to talk about some of his accomplishments. So what was hilarious is Jimmy tuned in, because he was the background singer or the lead singer, however it goes, and he was saying, Congress wouldn't try to block him, and he was like, but it's okay, because Barack came through the back door, and Barack could not. President Obama, he
couldn't hold it.
He could not hold it. He was back there just like.
And I know Jimmy was about to start laughing too. Let me tell you what. I don't know. Just side note. Jimmy Fallon is one of the worst. I love Jimmy Fallon, by the way.
But
he's one of the worst people when it comes to breaking. Because if you watch him on SNL or you watch him in any skit, he has the hardest time not staying in character.
He's like his own biggest fan.
Yes.
He says a joke and he's just like he dies at his own joke. You know those people who are just extreme. So Obama also went ahead and talked about the TPP, which is Trans-Pacific Partnership. So basically, the more that we can sell abroad, the more money and higher paying jobs that we can bring back home, which means the trade deal will help put Americans back to work. And of course, he bust out with his singing vocals saying, work, 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 work. And I think
he thought he was Rihanna.
He literally thought he was Rihanna. That was one of my favorite parts. Later on in the show, they also decided that they wanted to write some thank you notes. They meaning it was supposed to be Obama writing the thank you notes, but every time it was Jimmy Fallon's turn, he was like,
yes, I love that. I love when he does that.
He was diving into the thank you notes. So some of the things they said thank you to. Barack said thank you 2008 slogan. He basically said the slogan was yes we can. And he said, or shall I say yes we did. And I thought that was one of the
yes, we did.
the better thank you notes, the higher notes. But he quickly found out that the thank you notes with Jimmy Fallon was a bad idea when Jimmy decided to thank Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
And he was like, for possibly becoming the first. And then he went on to say, I would say female president, but someone deleted the email. He said something like
fool.
that. I would
Yeah.
say, and I thought that was funny. So clearly Obama learned his lesson not to write thank you notes with Jimmy. And the one of the last ones was basically Obama was thanking Congress. He was like, I know you've been wishing for me to be gone for the past 8 years. And then he goes to say, well, how do you like me now?
Yes.
And the picture of Trump pops up.
Oh.
Speaking of Trump, they would one of my favorite lines during the show was when they were singing, when they were slow jamming the news, and Jimmy asked President Obama, he was like, oh, well, have you been keeping up with the elections and keeping up with how Trump's doing in elections? He was like, no, I haven't, but I have been watching my favorite show, Orange is Not the New Black. Basically, because if you see the photo up there was a photo going around social media comparing Trump and President Obama, basically saying that Trump is the new president, but he's not. So I thought that was a funny
Never
plug.
gonna be president.
I love that he used orange
orange
too,
tan.
because
Oh,
that
it's just
tan is
horrible.
okay. Anyway, this is not bash on Trump Day.
Not yet.
So he basically also, the conversation got a little more serious, and Jimmy Fallon asked President Obama, how do you feel? Like, are you happy with the Republicans? Do you think the Republicans are happy with their choice? And this is a conversation that we've had over and over if they support Donald Trump. And, one of the reasons why I wish President Obama could just come on the show and sit at the panel with us is because so the question was, do you think the Republicans are happy with their choice? And he was like, I don't know, but we are. And like his voice, like his tone, and he doesn't laugh. He has like a straight face all the time. I don't know, but we are.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Like, how could you not laugh?
But I loved his answer right after that, which was just like, no, we shouldn't be at this level.
Yeah.
It should not.
He went on to say, at the end of the day, the Republican needs corrective action, and he prefers to have a healthy two-party system.
Yes.
He said it's supposed to be, the debates. We're supposed to go into the conventions are supposed to go into contests and et cetera, et cetera. So he did make a lot of good points. He said he's not happy to see how it's been unfolding. Even with the controversy between the Democrats and the Republican Party for the last 7 years. He talked about how he was trying, he's trying to replace one of the Senate, the Senate chairs. Am I saying that right? One of those. What's his name?
One of the Supreme Court?
One of the Supreme Court seats after the passing.
Of Justice Scalia.
Yeah. So he's basically saying, because of the conflict, because the parties aren't at their healthiest right now, it's been a lot of conflict and it's been, a lot of controversy surrounding that. So he did get serious and, he made a few jokes, but he did say how it wasn't. It's not a laughing matter and it's not a light matter.
Because his job is serious.
His job is very
Same like
serious.
Barack Obama. His job is serious. It's a very serious job.
He went on to talk about life after the White House, where he says who's counting that he has 223 days left until he is off somewhere where it's warm with Michelle. So
I am so mad at this photo right now.
he says that he's going to let his Obama fro go out and, take a vacation for a few weeks somewhere where it's warm. And he's just going to let the girls manage on their own. And hopefully, they'll be okay.
He's the Rocky with the good hair.
Outside of vacationing, he plans to get a lot of sleep, and I think I just wanted to use this segment to say thank you, President Obama, for all that you've done, because I know that in the show, Jimmy wrote a thank you note, and he kind of made light of it. He said, this is probably going to be the only genuine thank you that you get, because he's received so much flack over the past few years. So I just wanted to say thank you and give you something a little lighter. With
Thank you,
said,
POTUS.
You could stay. We wish you could stay forever.
yeah, he said, nah, not happening.
Yeah, so lots going on. It's great. Lots going on around the world. B, what you got?
Oh, guys. You know what? I'm going to be honest. Like, when we talked about this before the show, we were really sad just coming into this show because there's been so much going on. And I know usually for my segment, I have a lot of fun things to talk about. But it really has just been really just sad this week and really
It's been a sad
heavy.
month.
It's just, it's
It's
really
Pride Month, and it's a sad,
It's a
very
sad,
month.
very much. But I want to start off by talking about what you touched on was the West Hollywood Pride suspect. So this happened this past weekend. He was a 20-year-old Indiana man, and he was arrested there in Santa Monica, while heading to the LA Pride there in West Hollywood. And so what's interesting is that a lot of people were kind of watching how he was acting, just his mannerisms, just how he was acting. He just looked kind of suspicious. And what ended up happening was they ended up, calling 911, and they found all these, assault weapons, and he was really, and he basically told them when he got arrested, like, I was planning on hurting people at the LA Pride, and I'm just like, why? Like, what is your reason? The hate is, and like we talked about earlier, just the hate is just it truly did break my heart just to know.
That's a suicide mission. Like,
it really
you're
is.
going on you have these weapons in your car to go hurt people at the parade. And you think your hate is so strong that you're willing to die for it? Mm-hmm. That makes no sense to me. How?
It doesn't.
How? Like, no.
And secondly, and like I said, another sad story that's been going on is the Brock Turner situation where, he obviously did rape a girl while she was
Stanford.
unconscious. Yeah, at Stanford, yes. And so our man Joe Biden, who I love, him and his wife did an open letter to the victim, and he really touched on calling her a hero and just giving her encouragement and just saying, it's okay, and that the system did fail when it came to this. Brock Turner only got 6 months for what he did, and simply because the judge felt that he didn't want to basically ruin his life.
It's funny. So the judge is actually under investigation now because so he was sentenced 6 months, but then apparently he's only going to be able to serve 3 with good behavior, and he's going to have like some kind of protection while he is serving his 3 months. His 3 month time. But I know another. I was reading, so I don't know how true it is, but one of the controversies why the judge is under investigation is because the judge is also an alumni of Stanford and an athlete.
Yeah.
So he has a lot in common with.
And then of course the dad. Yeah, and the dad obviously wrote that disgusting letter saying, don't let my son 20-minute decision change his life. And he's been
you're
really
being punished for that's a long punishment for 20 minutes of action.
But you know what? I mean, that's such a typical parent response, though.
Really?
I'm saying like an initial response. Like, you want to protect your kid by any means necessary. I'm saying that, I mean, again, I'm not a parent, but I assume that a lot of parents want to protect their children first. And then after, they'll think, like, that's probably,
what he was thinking when he wrote that.
He's like, this is my kid. He
didn't have enough time to think while he was writing the letter.
No, what I'm saying is you still want to protect your kid.
Yeah, and you definitely want to protect your kid, and I think that I'm not a parent, but some of the strongest parents know when it's time to discipline your child.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. So even if you,
but we grew up very different.
Yeah, we are. So
I'm saying us and Brock Turner grew up very different.
Yes. Even if it comes to the slightest discipline, if discipline is like, okay, I'm not giving you $20 for allowance, I'm going to give you $5. Like whatever the discipline is, you cut it down a little bit. Right. So I don't understand what the father was expecting. Do you think that he deserved no punishment? Did he deserve 20 minutes of jail time? Like how do you equate
that? How do you just that?
Yeah, so I think that as an adult male, so this is a father who's been living, for multiple years. So how do you come out and just say no, that's too
it's too much.
I don't know.
Yeah. And lastly, we're going to end on a great note because I'm not going to lie, guys. This right now he's getting MVP award. Right now
who's getting MVP?
The fan.
LeBron? Just kidding. Steph Curry?
I can't stand LeBron. No, the fan from the Warrior and Cavs game. I hope we have the picture up right now. He bum rushed the floor and had his shirt off, and he had Trump sucks on his shirt and on his chest, and didn't care. He did not care, and the security had to bum rush him.
Slammed
and got body slammed.
Not surprising at all. What are they on game 7?
That was game 4.
What are they on right now? I don't know.
They're going to game 6.
Yeah,
going to game 6 right now. So we'll definitely be rooting for the Warriors here in California.
No.
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying that as a Californian. I guess I'm supposed to say that. I don't know.
Oh wait, what?
No, I'm for the Warriors because I honestly don't like the Cavs. But yeah, so that was my MVP for that.
I don't like LeBron because he left Miami, so I am then by default rooting for Steph and the Warriors.
Well, we are looking forward to Game 6. Thank you guys for tuning into today's show.
Definitely.
Happy birthday to our engineer Steven today.
Yes,
It's his birthday. So next week we're going to be having a city councilman, Lindsay Horvath from West Hollywood, on the show. We'll obviously be talking probably about a little bit of Orlando, and then everything that we can do as millennials, because she is a millennial leader here in California. So it'd be great to have her on the show. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at BHL Polyculture. You can follow me on Twitter at Drexel Heard.
You can follow me on Twitter at Hey It's Lay.
And you can follow me at B Sorrells.
And we will see you all next week.
Bye.
From executives Keven Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio, Instagramming at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in. The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.